Oh my gosh, you guys, I have some huge news. So I was just on Tumblr and on the WolfQuest forum, and we actually just got the biggest announcement that WolfQuest has had in quite a while. And that is that since WolfQuest 2.7 has been doing so well, that the head developers have officially announced now that they are planning to release a new episode. Not just a new update like we've been getting with the cougars and the foxes and the moose, a whole new episode. So, like, do you guys even realize this? This is like, that's like an extension from beyond Slough Creek. I can't even talk right now, I'm sorry. I'm so excited, but that means like a new episode beyond Slough Creek. So instead of just coming to Amethyst Mountain to find a mate and then going to Slough Creek to raise puppies, the story will continue even beyond that. Now, we don't have a release date. This is the very first news we've heard about this kind of a thing. And we don't know when it's going to come out, but they are going to start entering development for it. I think they mean soon here. I'll put a link to the actual post in the description of this video, but you guys, this is huge. Oh, and here is a wolf. It is a Slough male. I think we bumped into this guy last time. But yeah, normally I don't record multiple episodes or post 2 episodes in one day, but this is too much to pass up. Oh my gosh, I can't get over that. And you know, I also because it has been getting a little bit draggy, what with just trying to earn some more experience for Katari before she goes to before she finds a mate and goes to have puppies, so that we'll be able to name them. I do want to switch this up a little bit because I've said this a little bit before, but I actually am one of the beta testers for WolfQuest, and so this episode will be a little bit more low-key and a little bit different, but I'll actually be playing back some of the beta footage from this most recent round of testing, so where we first found the moose, where they first added moose, and I have a compilation from that. But maybe this episode we probably, just as we're running around trying to just earn a little bit more experience for Katari. She has quite a bit. She's got 1,595, and she needs 2,000, I believe, and we're going to try and earn that before we go to the creek, and we can start by killing this coyote, because that lets you name the puppies. But so we can kind of just talk about that kind of stuff, and I will put in here at some point, I will play back a compilation of testing with the moose. And I don't know if you guys are on the Facebook, and I think it's on the forums too, but there's actually, I'll try to put a link to it, but the developers released a great video of early testing for the moose, and oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So I'll put a link to that as well. It's well worth watching. I laughed really hard when I saw it. I was really laughing, but yeah, so, I mean, tell me, what do you think about that? I mean, this is the future of WolfQuest. This is the biggest update we've had since 2.7. What do you guys think about it? I'm assuming this would be the 3.0 update, because that's normally how they've distinguished the major number changes. So 1.0 was Amethyst Mountain, 2.0 was Slough Creek, 2.7 was the overhaul where they completely redid it, and now it's the paid version, but where it has a lot of new features, and that's what they've been updating. But you know, they had the minor updates as well. So 2.7.1, 2.7.2, we're now in 2.7.3. I'm assuming this new update that we're hearing talk of would be the 3.0 update, and oh my gosh, that's I've been playing the game since the very beginning, and so this is a huge, exciting news for me. Is that just a stump? That's just a stump. I thought it was a carcass for a second, and I was like, why is there no scent trail? But yeah, I mean, so what about you guys? How long have you been playing the game? What's your favorite thing about WolfQuest? And just, I mean, what do you guys think about this news? I mean, this is huge. Yeah, I had to share it with all of you guys just in case you haven't seen it already. And I want to look for a carcass as we're running around here, but so yeah, this is the biggest thing to hit WolfQuest in a long time, and I'm super excited. But I will say, being a beta tester, the one thing I will have to say is I will not give out spoilers. I will not release any information that has not been officially released by the developers already. Oh, there's a wolf here. And I think he's this way, he or she. So I won't give any information beyond what is already, oh dear, what has already been released by the developers. So don't ask me for spoilers, you will not get any. However, I have been given permission to release blooper reel footage after the updates come out. And I do have, oh, we're not winning this one. I do have, some footage from the moose update, and I'll be playing that shortly here. Probably as we go to find a carcass. Yeah, so I'll put that in, I'll put that footage in here, and, we can talk about that. So I will cut the video, and we will go to the blooper reel footage. Well, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that footage. Oh, and here's a coyote right here. But yeah, so it basically is just a moose kill compilation. And one of the things that you probably noticed in there is sometimes this was one of the issues we had with the moose was the attack damage was a little messed up, and so it would damage the player it had last damaged instead of the player who was closest. And you could have someone attacking the moose, and the damage would go to the person who wasn't, and so you'd have your wolf die from like 50 feet away in game. So there was quite a few of those ninja kills, but the moose are pretty tough. I think the bull moose can actually take away about half your health with one kick. It can kill you in 2 kicks, or at least get pretty stinking close. And the cow elks, I believe, or the cow moose are, I believe, comparable to the bull elk when it comes to, let me just make sure my microphone is on. Yes, my microphone is on. Scare moment. Yeah, so I believe the cow elk, or the cow moose are pretty comparable to bull elk when it comes to damage. And it is possible to kill them, it just takes a lot of work, but the carcasses do give you a ton. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to play the betas. It is a lot of work, but I really enjoy it, and actually, if you are in Lost River, the shops, a lot of the shops and a lot of the buildings are named after the development team and the beta testers, and so I actually do have a shop in Lost River. It's called Frodo's Forgotten Treasures. If you've ever seen it, that is my beta testing shop, because on the WolfQuest forums, I'm known as Frodo1. I was really into Lord of the Rings when I first joined the forum, and I still am, but I actually named one of my wolves after Frodo, and for the longest time he was my signature character. Now, Katari is more of my signature character. But so yeah, back when I first joined, everything was Frodo. But yeah, so it is really pretty cool to be able to do the beta testing. I've been a member of the beta team since 2.7 was first released, and I first joined midway through that. Oh, here we go with wolves again. I first joined midway through the testing, so for 2.7, so I wasn't there for the very early testing, and oh, who is this slough male again? Let's chase him off. Oh my goodness, he has very pretty green eyes. But yeah, and I actually have used Katari quite a bit during the testing. So you'll notice in the video I was using Katari, but I actually remade her for this series so that it cleared out her old stats and everything. So that we could have the, kind of the achievement of earning through everything, and hopefully that was, I'm hoping it's dragging out a little longer than I'd hoped it would have, but we're getting there. So 1695, so each time you chase off a stranger wolf, it is 100 experience, I think. So we'll go ahead and probably run around in the wolf territories a little bit, chasing them off, but yeah. Well, and then the other thing, in the last episode we were going after that bull elk. Where is, there it went. We went after that bull elk last time, which turned out to be a little bit of a disaster, but that actually reminds me, we don't have elk where I live, but I have been to places where there are elk, and some of my relatives live where there are elk, and we had gone to stay with them at one point, and, I was out on the back porch one time with my cousin. My goodness, there's so many bunnies. And this was, you know, I've seen elk before, but never like this. So my cousin and I were out on the back porch of the house, and it's not even super rural. It's like a farming kind of town, but there's normally not elk, but there had been, some environmental changes, and the elk had come down out of the hills and into the town, and there was actually an elk herd in town. This I did not know, and we were playing with, my cousins had just gotten some new puppies, and we were out playing with the puppies, and I don't even know why I looked up, I just did, and literally across the road, there is a huge bull elk staring at me, and just staring at us. And when I say huge, I mean huge. I'm not tall, but this thing was taller than a grown man. And for someone who's short like me, that's even a little bit scarier. Is that a coyote? That's a coyote. And it's just looking at us, and it knew we were there. It had just seen us at the same time as we saw it. And so I kind of just nudged my cousin, was like, look, and this thing is, I kid you not, it's standing just across the road. It's maybe 20, 30 feet away, if that, staring at us. And huge bull elk, huge rack of antlers, and we just made eye contact for a little bit, me and this huge elk. And then the dog saw it, and these are two little border collie puppies. And they see this elk. This elk is probably 100 times their size, and they take off running straight at it. And so my cousin and I were yelling at the dogs. The dogs come running up to this elk, barking, and you know, they're border collies. They're trying to herd this elk. Huge elk, and they're trying to herd it. And the elk, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's going to step on them. And I was just desperately hoping that it would not, because I mean, it's a wild animal, and even a prey animal can do some serious damage if it wants to. I mean, if that thing had come after us, we would have been in trouble. And I just thought, oh my gosh, it's going to step on the dogs, it's going to go after the dogs, but thankfully it didn't. In fact, it almost looked amused, because these are teeny little puppies, and they come running up to it, barking like maniacs. It kind of just looked down at them like, you've got to be kidding me. And looked down at the puppies, looked up at us, and then just very slowly started to make its way off towards the apple orchard, because that's where the elk had apparently been hanging out. And I found out later that my mom had seen the elk a few times, and people had been seeing the elk, and they've been going in the apple orchard and eating the apples. And, like, I mean, I couldn't believe, and this was in, like, a populated area. Is that a fox? That's a fox. There's also a wolf. Slough female. But, so yeah, that's my experience with an elk. Have you guys ever seen elk? Have you ever encountered an elk like that? I was shocked. And this was in the town. It wasn't like a super rural area either. But the elk had come down out of the hills because of environmental changes. And so there was a herd of elk that had been roaming through the town, and they liked the apple orchard, and they would, I think they were rubbing their antlers on the trees and stuff, too. So, but yeah, have you guys ever seen an elk in real life, or any sort of wild animal, deer, or moose, or anything? I've seen deer. I've never seen a moose. I did see a wolf in Yellowstone when I got the pleasure of being able to actually go and visit Yellowstone in real life. A few years back, we did see a wolf, at quite a distance. She was way out in a field. But, we did get to see her, and she was very, very pretty, a white wolf, out in Yellowstone, and it was so cool. And then, of course, there's always the bison. You go to Yellowstone, you're pretty much gonna see bison, because there's, like, tons of them. That's pretty much where the bison live, is in Yellowstone. But, yeah, oh, trouble. Let's eat first, because that cougar will take us down. And then we're gonna go back, because if you'll recall, Katari does not like cougars. I may have seen a cougar in real life, too. I'm not actually positive. And we do, where I live in kind of, I live in the southwest of the U.S. Yeah, southwest. And we do have cougars. And, there's the cougar. We're not positive if it was a cougar or just a really big dog, but we know there had been a cougar in the area, and it was kind of stupid. We went out hiking. I mean, sure, there's a cougar in the area, let's go hiking. We went hiking, and after we knew there had been cougar sightings. Oh, here's the territory marker. And there were some people walking ahead of us too, but then all of a sudden, we looked up, and something came leaping across the trail in front of them. They were quite a ways ahead of us, but it came bounding past. Oh, it's a dispersal male. Okay. Another one we haven't seen. So I think Katari would still greet him. She's maybe starting to get a little bit calmer around them. It's kind of starting to get this idea into her head that maybe a hunting companion wouldn't be quite so bad. I think at this point, honestly, I think she's starting to consider the idea of perhaps finding a mate. And I think at this point, she's realized she's having a hard time making it on her own. So I think at this point she would be finally ready to say, okay, let's actually maybe settle down. So I think she would finally be willing to accept this wolf as her mate. And there we go. They're gonna groom each other a little bit, and then it should, yep. And we're going to call him Taro, because of reasons, sort of based off Katari's story. And where is he? Let's see if we can get a good look at him. So he's kind of grayish, a little bit brownish, kind of a standard timber wolf color. And at this point, we can head to the creek. You can see that green area is how you travel to Slough Creek. But we don't have quite enough experience, I think. Yeah, we're only at 1790, and if you'll recall, before we moved on, we did want to give Katari another chance at taking on that bull elk with her mate. So I think we'll head back over there and just do a few elk hunts to kind of also see how these guys can work together. Yeah, he's really pretty. But just to kind of see how these guys work together and kind of give them a bit of a chance to get to know each other. And then we'll see if we can take down that bull elk working together once we have several carcasses, and we'll do that in the next episode, just before we move on. And then we'll go to Slough Creek and focus on raising puppies, because by then we should have more than enough experience to ensure that we're able to name the puppies. But yeah, so going back to real-life wildlife encounters, what animals have you seen? What creatures live near you? Are there any big predators, or any very large prey animals, or mostly smaller creatures? Or what's the wildlife like near where you guys live? Out here, I would say the largest predators we have are probably cougars, but they don't... Cougars and bears. There are bears near where I live, but I've never seen a bear. You do occasionally, once in a blue moon, hear about bears sort of near where I live, but I've never seen one out here. And then aside from that one possible incident with the cougar that we're not even totally sure was a cougar for sure or not, but that could have been a cougar, I have never seen a cougar either. But we do have a little bit smaller predators. We have bobcats and we have coyotes. And the coyotes are probably the most prevalent. I've seen them out in the less oh, here, wait, oh, they went up that way. So we're not going to go for the bulls straight off. We're going to try and take down several of the okay, who's running? These guys are running. Yeah, we're going to go after this one and just see. And this is oops, why am I in scent view? Hold on, there we go. Wow, look at him go. But as far as larger creatures, we do have some deer in the more woodsy areas. Where I live, it's kind of deserty. And we have probably a lot of smaller prey like bunnies and stuff. Bunnies and squirrels and a lot of the littler creatures like that. Wow, it's so much faster hunting with a mate. There we go. Come up from behind, and oh my goodness, shaky, shaky, all over. Whoa, okay, apparently I've now killed 100 elk on this profile. That's mostly, probably a lot of testing and stuff. Lots of, beta work. I have done, quite a few of the achievements in this just through helping test out to make sure the achievements work. But, and you can hear them. They're somewhere near here. Where are they? Where do I see them? I hear them. They were back this way. I suppose I could have just followed that elk scent back. And, oh, and yeah, this, you can actually see your, mate, and then when you have pups, you can see your pup scents as well. Where are they? They may be up a little. I think they were up a little bit more. We're just gonna take down a few so we have some carcasses nearby for when we do hunt the elk. Here we go. Here we go. They're right up here. We'll go after this one. And let's go on ahead. And you know, I think Katari would probably feel a little bit more like she has more to relate to with Terrell, because he was from the grassy plains over there. What? Okay. Random elk randomly running by. That's fine. Oh, careful, Terrell. But he was from the plains area over there too, and she was originally from the plains. Oh, and here come the researchers again. They're gonna get quite the excitement watching Katari and her new mate hunting. That'd be quite the thing to see. Can you imagine? That would be really cool to be a wolf researcher who actually gets to go check up on the collared wolves. And that was the thing, is when we did see the wolf in Yellowstone, like they said, or at least what we heard was that she was the mama from one of the packs. who actually like traveled across the park to find food. When we did see her, it was at a huge distance. Like, even the picture I got when I was zoomed in all the way, you can just see this tiny white blur, and it's like, oh yeah, that's her head poking out of the grass. There we go. But they said she was the mama wolf from one of the packs across the park. And, oh good, he's eating. But she traveled across the park to find food, and we did see the area where, and I believe it was, they said, the rendezvous site where they bring the pups to start teaching them to hunt and such not, which we'll see at the end of this game. We'll go after this one, because they've been doing pretty well with hunting even the stronger elk. I'm pretty confident that these two could at some point take down a bull together. If they have enough other food to eat from. But we will not try to do that this episode because that can get to be quite the... Whoa! Hang on, this was the one we were after. Here we go. Let's... No, it's on the wrong... There we go. Terrell, come help over here. Hopefully he will come. Now, Katari isn't super strong, but she does have a lot of speed, and we should see... There comes Terrell. And she has pretty good stamina, so that tends to help a lot with hunting. What's hard about hunting with a stronger wolf is that even though they do a lot of damage, you have to really run the elk down in order to be able to really be able to actually catch it. Hopefully, yeah, there he goes. He's gonna eat. I don't think your mate can actually die in this, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of puppies they have, because he's kind of more on the gray spectrum, whereas Katari is the very earthy brown coloration. Honestly, I think out of the new coats, this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I really like the brown, and no, all of them are very, very pretty, but I just kind of tend to like the earthy brown colors. For some weird reason, most of my wolf characters are brown. I think it's because I tend to kind of stray from the extreme colors like black and white. A lot of the time, I do have one character who is black and white, but just because that kind of, a lot of people end up with the very extreme wolf colors like black and white, so it kind of feels a little cliche to me sometimes. But I don't know. I honestly love the way all the wolf colors look. And let's not go for the bull. Let's go after this elk. And don't get kicked by the bull. Hopefully he'll keep his distance. But yeah, I'll just say that bull elk that I actually did run into in real life, and I'm just really thankful he didn't come after us, because even prey animals can get very aggressive, or probably more defensive, honestly. But they can go on the attack if they feel threatened, and apparently he didn't feel threatened enough by us or by the puppies, thankfully, to try and come after us. But if he had, he could have done a lot of damage with those huge antlers. And I mean, he stands he was way taller than me for sure. I would say he was at least 6 feet, and he probably looked taller because of his antlers, but I would say he was probably, I don't know how big elk get, but just my perception was that he had to have been at least 6 feet tall, if not even more. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate or anything, but he was huge, and the antlers make him look even bigger, and you could see how you would not want to mess with that. You definitely wouldn't want to mess with that. Those guys, if you ever see them in the wild, they're beautiful, but admire them from a distance. And that's the thing, is with any wildlife, honestly, if you're going to watch them, if you're going to admire them, don't try and get super close to them, because they are wild animals and they can be unpredictable. And if they feel threatened, they will go on the attack. And you don't want to be on the receiving end of an attack from a wild animal. There's Terrell. Why aren't you hunting? I guess he must have gotten too far away from the elk. And let's see. Let's see if we can hang on. Hopefully he'll come in and... There we go. He's going to keep hopefully he'll get her down a little bit. He seems like he's pretty strong. How much damage does he do? No, I want to see how much damage he does. He does a little bit each time. We'll have to kind of, I'm gonna pull back a little bit because then he'll come back to me, and we'll let her get a little bit closer to the herd, because you want to try and kill them kind of local to the herd. And real wolves wouldn't do something like this. They wouldn't hunt down a bunch of elk for the sake of going after a bull elk or anything. But this is WolfQuest, and it's a good way of earning experience points. And we probably do have the 2,000 enough to be able to. Let me just see. Yeah, we have 2,000 experience points now, and that is enough to be able to name the puppies, I'm pretty sure. But remember, we did decide that we want her to have one more try at the bull elk, so we'll just finish killing this elk this time, and then we'll go ahead next time, take down that bull if we can, and go ahead and move on to the creek. And the part you guys are probably all waiting for, have puppies and get to try and do our best to raise and defend the puppies. And I'm not, like, we started this on the pretty easy difficulty, I believe, but I believe we're on pretty easy. Let me check that game settings. Yes, we are on pretty easy. So the white outline indicates the lowest difficulty you've selected in this game. So when we go to Slough Creek, we will probably change it to challenging, and my logic behind this is, so these guys are still very young, very strong, but they're relatively inexperienced. Neither one of them has had puppies before. So even though they are physically capable, they don't have as much experience, and so it'd probably be more challenging. If they go on to a second litter, I would say that one could be on pretty easy, because they'll have both the experience and they'll still be pretty young and in their prime. However, if they have a litter beyond that, it would probably be arduous, because even though they're very experienced, they're getting older, and if they have another litter beyond that, they would probably be on Bring It On, because at that point they'll be 6 years old probably, and no longer physically in their prime. And most wolves don't actually live that long in the wild because there are a lot of dangers, so I think 6 to 8 years is actually fairly average for wolves. I'm not quite positive. I'd have to go check on that, but they don't actually live. I mean, ideally they would probably have a lifespan comparable to that of the average domestic dog, but because the wild is so much more dangerous and they don't have veterinarians or whatever, they don't tend to live as long. There are a lot of things that can kill them. And yeah, you just watch out, buddy, because next time we are coming for you. We've got the carcasses. You can see there's a bunch of carcasses all over, and Katari is no longer alone. So next time, buddy, we are coming for you, and we will be facing down against the bull as our final thing to do here in Amethyst Mountain before we move on to Slough Creek. But until then, I will see you next time, and this is Jay, over and out.